You may have noticed a new tool is taking the Python community by storm. And its story is a little bit convoluted, at least in conversations that I've seen online. And so I want to set something clear right before we jump into the point. UV used to be just purely a Python package installer solution, one that was faster, built on Rust. There was that. And then UV has since started to become and market itself as a Python project management tool. And so conversations will happen online about Python project management tools, for example, Poetry and some others. People will say, well, the reason I left, say, Poetry, or the reason I don't use a different tool is because UV is faster than that tool, faster than blank. And I want to raise the question, is UV faster than Hatch? So let's start by going straight into UV. So we're going to do a from scratch install of UV. We're going to walk through just some basic stuff. We're going to install some packages, and we're going to time the amount of total time it takes for that process to happen, the actual installing or the resolving of the packages for that environment. And for Hatch, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to compare those times. We can go to the UV docs. We see UV is described as an extremely fast Python package and project manager written in Rust. I use this curl to install UV, and it is very fast to do so. It's immediately available, and so we're going to keep on going here. We can initialize a repository, so this is like a project management kind of thing to do. So we're going to do UV init, and I'm actually going to call mine UV demo, just to be clear. All right, nice little status there on what it did. I really appreciate that. So we're going to cd into change our directory into UV demo. What's also nice is it's already initialized as a Git repository. Let's go ahead and look at what's inside. Okay, we got a git ignore, some basic stuff in there. See how virtual environments, kind of like a preview of how things are going to happen here. The Python version is defaulted to 3.11. We have a baked in little UV demo hello world. This pyproject.toml with some just basic stuff in here, some versioning. Okay. And a blank README. Okay. So here we go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to time an install of two packages I really love, two libraries, if you will, Pandas and Marimo. So I'm going to go ahead and do time, and we're going to do UV add. You see the examples here, Pandas and Marimo. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, and here is the total time, but I'm just going to go ahead and copy this whole line, and I'm going to add it to a little sticky note over here. Now let's go talk about Hatch. Hatch says that it is a modern extensible Python project manager. Okay. Extensibility, I think, is really important to Hatch, and I think we're going to see that as we get going here. The way that I'm going to get started is I'm going to install it cleanly here. I'm going to go to walkthrough installation, and for me, I'm going to actually install it using brew right here. And since this is going to take a little while through brew, I'm going to go ahead and skip this section for you so you don't have to wait. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to get started, and we're going to pretend that I didn't just initialize a Hatch project inside of my UV environment there. Okay, anyway, what we're going to do is head on over to the Hatch introduction or the walkthrough, and we can see that the way you initialize a project with Hatch is to do Hatch new, and for myself, I'm going to do Hatch demo like this. And it's created a kind of a beefier setup than what we saw with UV. Okay, and let's go ahead and see what's inside. You'll already notice that there's not an automatically initialized Git. So maybe you like that, maybe you don't. Okay, and we have this setup, this common structure that we see with a consistent naming convention all the way down from the the repo, basically root name to source to hatch demo, just like that. There's this about with version inside. We also have tests are immediately on the mind, which I think is a good thing. Automated generated license here, which comes from, I think, some kind of configuration higher up that I think can be changed, and a very beefy PyProject.toml. But instead of going into all the details here, you can kind of already get an idea of what's going on, or how these tools are different from a sort of fundamental approach to project management. And so, again, that's not the point here. The point is to test speed. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to add my dependencies here because I know that's what you got to do. I'm also going to do remo. I'm going to do something first, and I want you to stick around to the end of the video if you've watched this far, because my point will not be made until the very end. It's kind of like a magic trick in that way. I always wanted to be a magician, but I was terrible at magic tricks. Maybe I'm terrible at this too. We'll see. You let me know in the comments. Here we go. The way that we're going to do this is to run time, and then I'm going to run hatch, and I'm going to run echo. And the reason I'm going to do this is so I can capture that time here, and echo is not going to cost us much time anyway. So let's go ahead and run that. Okay, already it's taking longer. It's slower. So you might at this point say, well, UV is faster as a Python management tool, Python project management tool. So many words. Half the time I forget to say some of the words. But you might at this point say, like, wow, this is taking forever. And I'm on a somewhat of an older Mac too. So, oh, wow. Okay. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to show you the sticky note. So if we look at the UV time, like 3.5 seconds. And the hatch time, 30 and a half seconds. But wait, there's more. So I've added this new section. This is so hard to read, isn't it? Hatch time run results here. But guess what we're going to do? Hatch time run with UV. Hold on. Wait a second. What are you talking about, Jesse? This is what I'm talking about. So this is how I access the default environment. And guess what I can do? Installer equals, you won't believe it. Hold on a second. What's going to happen? So first, just to be sure, I get rid of that environment that I just created. Do hatch env prune. It's going to get rid of my environment. Okay. So now what are we going to do? We're going to do time hatch run echo. Look at this. Okay, let's jump on over to our sticky. Say it. Hold on. So let's look at our numbers here. Hatch time run with UV results. Okay. And UV on its own. So hold on. Talking about UV being faster than hatch with respect to this, you could say the question doesn't make sense because hatch is using UV. And maybe it doesn't, but the point is that we can no longer use this as a means to talk about why UV might be better than another tool, than another Python project management tool, if the results are not that different in how fast it takes to run. And I know that, Hatch is using UV in this case, but Hatch may be a more robust Python project management tool than UV. And also Hatch, for example, I'm just using Hatch as an example here, but Hatch is also officially part of the Python package authority project pipeline. So there are trade-offs that we should consider when we're choosing our tools. And I love the fact that we have choices and that we have better choices than we had before. Some people are still going to love poetry. And some people are going to love whatever else they're using, but this is kind of the main point, and I think we should talk about it more. If you stayed this long, you might be saying, well, Jesse, it's, you can't just run it one time. And that's true. And to be honest, I did do this. Well, I did it multiple times, and then I recorded 2 different videos in which I shared with the community, and I got some feedback. And they were like, well, you got to run it more, Jesse. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it takes a lot of time. And so guess what I did? I did this 30 times per tool, and these are the results. Okay, so for those of you who want to go more into the weeds about how I actually ended up testing this, I ran, yes, each of these 30 times. So I ran 30 times for UV, 30 times with Hatch. I tried to control the best I could for caching and stuff like that, because especially with UV, very aggressively caches. And so, again, this raises questions about the experiment itself, but you know, if the point is about, is a tool faster, does that make it better, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the results, though. So you can, I can share this if people want to see it. I guess I could push this out to GitHub. But yeah, so we're going to look at total time. So this is like wall clock time. And when, oh, you know what? Let me do the fancy Marimo app view. That'd be better. And so we can look at total time here on the right side. But we're not going to look through all the data there. We're just going to go ahead and look at an aggregated view. So this is done with a group by, you know, the tool and then describe. And if we look at the mean, since we're looking at the totals here, you'll actually see that strangely in this case, Hatch performed better if we just look at the mean. But then if you wanted to go further, which I did, I went ahead and set up a hypothesis test. And even still, somehow Hatch's implementation of UV was faster than UV in this case. Now, I don't know why that is. It seems kind of strange that those are the results. And if the results are strange, I feel like we should question the process. And, well, the process is on me. But I hope that what you get out of this little video, which is too long now, is that we should be asking more questions about our tools. And let's have more open conversations about why we like these tools. Speed is not the end-all be-all. Speed is absolutely wonderful and has been made a point by others in the community that speed opens up the doors for many other possibilities. And so I hope that both UV and Hatch see very bright futures. But I also just want us to have more open conversations and more fair conversations about these tools. So thanks for watching or listening. And as always, and until next time, happy coding.